It's a strange time to be working in journalism when many Americans, including the president and his proxies, talk about the media as if reporting the news were a threat to the republic, routinely labeling the results of rigorous investigations as fake news. America's founders, whether you agree with them or not, placed journalism on the same level as the ministry or priesthood. They protected both a free press and the freedom of religion, right there, first thing in our Constitution. If that lends a sense of sanctity to the work of the free press, well, that also means that nothing is sacred, because in journalism, everything is fair game for investigations. I used to have an editor who would say, "Sacred cows, they make for great hamburger." To deliver on the responsibility that comes with that freedom, the fourth estate needs journalists to be accurate, credible, and most importantly, ethical. As a professor of journalism, I train my students to live up to those expectations, to give voice to the voiceless, to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. Our reporting, our storytelling should try to offer you something, try to teach you something, offer you an insight, even if that something challenges your existing beliefs. But it's not easy. The internet and all things digital brought a wave of disruptions that essentially challenges nearly every aspect of what we do. But with that wave of disruptions have come new opportunities and new story forms. So my additional goal as a professor of digital journalism is to empower my students to inform their communities through new and emerging technologies. By paper or by pixels, broadcast or broadband, journalism needs to remain relevant in how it reaches and informs the diverse communities it aims to serve. Accurately informing by any ethical means necessary. By that I mean using a variety of different technologies, like Snapchat or Instagram stories. Hell, let's use Minecraft and Pokemon Go if we can inform our communities that way. That's my specialty. I hijack emerging technologies from other fields and apply them to journalism. Think coding, mobile, drones. I'm a reluctant drone owner. Wearables, sensors, AR, VR, MR. Those last acronyms, they've been the focus of my work for the last few years, exploring immersive storytelling. VR, or virtual reality, is the one that most people know, but they tend to know virtual reality because, well, it's been overpromised and overhyped for decades, continually under-delivering and only offering bad products and poor experiences. But recently, virtual reality has become a legitimate reality. This technology is here now. And there are great experiences, including immersive journalism pieces done by pioneers using this technology. These stories help us understand the perspective, help us closer understand what it's like to be a child in a refugee camp, or how someone is adjusting to life after solitary confinement, or Buzz Aldrin's dream of humanity exploring Mars. My students were standing on the shoulders of these pioneers as we too produce these immersive stories, like recreating a 30-foot storm surge that scientists predict could wipe out the Houston Ship Channel. Or a recent project about California's largest lake, the Salton Sea, which is dying and quickly turning into one of the state's largest environmental disasters. We create these stories under the name journalism. See what we did there? A stupid typo was turned into our cute name, and we trademarked it. There's so much fascinating research around virtual reality and immersive technologies, how our brains accept this, how you can literally be put into other people's shoes, their skin, their gender. Talk about different perspectives. There are studies about how our brain believes this immersive world. It doesn't care whether or not we've crossed the uncanny valley. It just knows we've left this reality and have immersed it into another. A recent Google News Lab study found that we could be shifting from storytelling to story living, where we feel and experience these immersive stories holistically. But of all the studies that are out there, my favorite is the rubber arm test. Here, the researchers have you sit at a table and they block your arm from view with a piece of cardboard, and they place a fake arm in front of you. It looks ridiculous. You know it's fake. They tell you it's fake. And then they begin to touch your real arm and your fake arm at the same time. And nearly instantaneously, your brain adopts that limb. And to prove that point, the researchers, the researchers take a stab of your newly adopted brain. The researchers take a stab at your newly adopted limb, and you naturally pull away. The alarming fact is, we can be persuaded by what we see, even though we know it's fake. You may have seen this video. It made some news.
It's been less than a week since the deadliest mass shooting in American history. And foremost in all of our minds has been the loss and the grief felt by the people of Orlando.
But this video, it didn't make news because of the tragic shooting. It made news because this video doesn't exist. This video is fabricated. Technologists and researchers from the University of Washington have developed a technology, a lip-syncing technology that can take audio and essentially fabricate video. On the left here is the real video, on the right is the fake.
Especially our friends who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. I visited with the families of many of the victims on Thursday.
The one on the right is fake. I showed this to my students and their jaws dropped too. And in our discussions about this technology, I said, well, at least, as long as I don't say anything foolish on tape, or there isn't technology that can fabricate me saying something, we're kind of safe, right? Oh, professor, you don't know? The student pulled up this video on YouTube. It's from Adobe Max 2016, where Princeton researchers were demoing their new technology called #Voco. Using the audio from actor-director Jordan Peele, who was on stage, they demoed how the tech works. They used audio from him describing what he did in the morning when he found out he was nominated.
I jumped out of the bed and I kissed my dogs and my wife, in that order.
He kissed his dogs and his wife. With this technology, in a matter of keystrokes, not editing the sound wave, but just editing and typing out words, they made him a better husband.
And I kissed my wife and my dogs.
I kissed my wife and my dogs. And then they demoed what this technology could do. They first made him a less good husband by changing my wife to his name, Jordan. And everyone freaked out. What got my attention is what happened next. This technology, which is essentially the Photoshop for audio, after it analyzes your sound, your voice, can fabricate words or phrases you didn't say. To prove that point, they added the phrase 3 times.
And I kissed Jordan 3 times.
I kissed Jordan 3 times. He went from a good husband to an ex-husband. We live in the future. I want you to take a moment to acknowledge how difficult it is to distinguish what is real in this mind-boggling future. Right now, misinformation is being deployed, even weaponized, for profit, for power, or simply to troll. Silicon Valley's ethicist Tristan Harris talks about getting your attention is like a race to the bottom of your brainstem. It's a stern reminder that outrage, fueled by your brain's negativity bias, is persuasion and propaganda's most potent ingredients. Fake news, or the accusations of fake news, is attempting to drown out accurate and ethically reported information. Take a moment to think about what's going to happen when this technology goes mainstream. And people try to use it, not if, but when people use it for misinformation. It could be a lot more dangerous than just a rubber arm. Immersive storytelling, immersive technologies are the next disruption. That's why I urge my students and I implore my industry to become leaders, not only in developing new immersive storytelling techniques, but also to apply journalism's traditional code of ethics to help shape and frame this emerging platform. Because if this disruption is like any before it, it's not going to stop. We're not going back. This next wave can change the world as we know it. We need ethical storytellers. We need credible journalists. We need a fourth estate that we can trust and believe is fighting for us. And we need you, de facto reporters, posting news and information on worldwide social platforms. We need you to become more critical media consumers. Because if you can be fooled by a fake Facebook post, well, you're going to have to be a lot smarter not to be fooled by an immersive story. It can sound kind of scary, but I have to admit to you, it's also really exciting. My students and I were excited at this opportunity to help develop the first drafts of immersive journalism and to help shape this future. These students are working hard because we believe, like America's founders believed, that a free press that we can trust is essential to a democratic society, accurately informing by any ethical means necessary. Thank you.